The Delta region of West Africa is vitally important to the United States. Nigeria alone supplies some 15% of America's oil, and that figure is set to rise significantly. But oil has brought little but misery to the people of the Delta.
It's almost as if time has stood still. People are living lives worse than their grandparents and their great-grandparents.
The result has been an armed revolt, which, though it has often descended into gangsterism, has also hurt the oil companies badly.
There are militias that are springing up all over the place. Everybody's saying, no, enough. They won't talk to us. We're not going to just sit here, roll over and die. We're going to fight back.
Any threat to oil supplies inevitably causes alarm bells to ring in the United States. And part of the Bush administration's response was this. The Africa Partnership Station is a major initiative under Africom, in which the US offers training, community outreach, and military cooperation to some 15 West and Central African states. Its focus is on building maritime security. But that has led Africom into at least one operation which appears to directly contradict both its own operational procedures and the publicly stated position of its commander-in-chief, President Obama. At the heart of this latest mission is the USS Nashville.
Up we go. This is a really nice vantage point up here because you kind of can see the grand scheme of things.
Drug smuggling, piracy, and oil bunkering, the illegal stealing of oil in the lawless Delta region, are major security headaches for local governments and the other nations that use these waterways.
The Africans here are asking for help to find their own African solutions to their own problems. I'm not trying to tell them how to do homeland security based on a U.S. policy. We're really looking at what is best for each nation.
We joined the USS Nashville as she arrived in the waters off Nigeria's oil-producing neighbor, Cameroon. Unlike Nigeria, which, despite its rampant corruption and political repression, is struggling to develop a functioning democracy, Cameroon is effectively a dictatorship, which has been run for 27 years by autocratic President Paul Biya. That night, the partnership station hosted a social event ashore for local dignitaries.
Tonight we have the U.S. ambassador, we have the senior division officer from the FACO division, which is the representative from the Cameroon government. We have Cameroon military and quite a few other senior military people as well, including the BIR.
And the next day, the BIR, President Biya's special forces, were among the Cameroonian soldiers being trained by US personnel as part of Africom's mission.
In the same direction. That's the important
comment le combat nautique aussi, il nous aide aussi par rapport à ça. Donc les Américains, ils nous en ajoutent beaucoup de plus.
Il n'y a rien d'ajouté.
This officer's concern about our questions was perhaps not surprising. The BIR's close connection to the president is controversial, and it is a relationship which should cause Africom to question whether it should have anything to do with them. Aniseta Kane is the leader of Cameroonian opposition party Manidem.
Donc on ne peut pas dire qu'à la tête du pays se trouve un gouvernement légitime. D'autant plus que quand on regarde l'évolution de la société, on se rend compte que au fur et à mesure que ce gouvernement ou ce pouvoir est illégitime et impopulaire, son score dans les élections augmente.
During her visit to Cameroon, the Nashville was docked 5 miles off the coast near the port of Douala, a town which just a year and a half earlier, in February 2008, had been the scene of bitter protests against the president, Paul Biya. Provoked in part by rising food prices, the protests were also a furious reaction to plans by President Paul Biya to change the constitution so he could extend his time in power. Dennis Nkwebu is a local journalist who was there at the time. He took us to where the protests began, and we were quickly spotted by the authorities.
You see, that's a soldier going from that's a soldier from the military base looking at us.
He's looking at us?
Yes. When he looks at that, he uses the radio to tell somebody that well, he should be in a lookout. Some people are doing some film. So we've got enough. So this square is a very, very dangerous place.
That day in February, the protests quickly escalated into a huge demonstration.
The police and the gendarmes could not stop the movement of these people. So the BIR came in, and there was one helicopter moving from the center of the town to the other end. And on the ground, the BIR had some. They had their trucks. They had their trucks trying to stop the people.
The BIR opened fire on the demonstrators. Others were herded over a bridge, and many jumped to their deaths.
Le BIR, le bataillon d'intervention rapide, est intervenu avec une sauvagerie indescriptible. Les photos que vous avez vues à l'entrée de la permanence vous montrent des choses effroyables, des enfants qui ont été éventrés par des tirs de fusils d'assaut, les FAL, d'autres qui ont été abattus à bout portant, une balle dans la tête, le crâne fracassé, le cerveau dehors. Il y a eu des choses terribles.
The government said that some 42 people died. But that's not the true figure. For those who were in town seeing corpses being carried to the mortuaries, at least 400 people, 140 people dead with the corpses found. And that figure does not include the number of people who would have disappeared.
And as far as the opposition is concerned, one man carries prime responsibility for what happened that day. President Biya, the man who changed the constitution to stay in power and who invited Africom into Cameroon to train his forces.
Et quand le BIR est sorti mercredi, c'est à la suite des instructions du chef de l'État après son intervention.
So how did Africom end up training these people? What are its rules of engagement?
We have certain requirements or requests that we would ask of the training nation to be trained, for the personnel to be looked at and vetted to see if there have been past abuses of human rights and dignity issues that would say these individuals may not be appropriate candidates. And the work that we do has embedded in it, just as in our government and in our military, those values of how militaries perform in legitimate societies where they are respectful of human rights and where they are respectful of the role of legitimate representative governments in the nation.
That's the line, of course, but clearly in this case at least, it is very far from the reality. So, why is there such a gulf between what the Americans say and what they do? Aniseta Kani is in little doubt.
L'ambassadeur américain est celui qui est le plus offensif lorsqu'il faut attaquer le gouvernement camerounais pour les problèmes de démocratie et des droits de l'homme. Mais en même temps, ils font des affaires, comme l'exploitation des ressources minières en échange ou du pétrole en échange de leur participation à la formation des forces de répression. Donc en fait, les protestations de l'ambassade américaine ou de l'ambassadeur américain sur les problèmes des droits de l'homme, ça ne reste que des discours. Après ces protestations, les affaires continuent et la coopération militaire continue.
In these two films, we've seen how Obama and Africom have been confronted with the legacy of the Bush administration's agenda. In Uganda, it's meant that the US has allied itself with an authoritarian leader and his politicized army in a disastrous offensive against the Lord's Resistance Army. If Obama wants to be different from Bush, he will have to change this legacy, not follow it. In my country, Somalia, that's led to a spectacular policy U-turn, with the US now supporting the Islamic leader it helped overthrow. But in Sudan, Obama has yet to sever ties with a regime accused of war crimes, a relationship developed because of the demands of the war on terror.
Whether Obama can or will turn his back on that war remains to be seen. But as Cameroon demonstrates, turning his back on the African strongmen who control the access to the continent's oil may prove to be an even harder challenge. Obama may tell Africans that history will not look kindly on those presidents who change the constitution so they can stay in power, and his generals may tell him that they will not deal with human rights abusers. But until those words are made real and put into policy, his words will ring hollow for many Africans.